You're about to learn a lot more about the shooter than we learned yesterday. We have some updates, and that's what we're starting with. I'm James Parker. And a lot of this is coming straight from the Dallas Express. They have even more details if you want to get somewhat caught up because and no one did anything wrong yesterday. It's just we were passing along what the officials were telling us, and as the word from the officials changed, the reporting has to necessarily adjust with it. But there's a few things that I'm not hearing a whole lot of other people go into detail on. So let me just correct some things. Yesterday, I was telling you that the shooting occurred around 7 a.m. Well, that's what Department of Homeland Security was reporting yesterday when I was on the show. But I did see an eyewitness told NBC News that she heard the gunfire closer to 6:10 a.m. She says she was waiting in a vehicle outside the facility. And what time did these people open? What is this, like a Dunkin' Donuts there? You're waiting in line in your vehicle outside the facility at 6:10 a.m. Okay, so now you probably did hear that one of the bullets had anti-ice written on it. There was a lot of reports saying it was engraved. We were reporting it right on WBAP, but I would just like to reiterate, because I still heard it reported wrong on other outlets, that it wasn't engraved. It looks like it was written with a ballpoint pen and blue ink. Either that or like a really fine Sharpie. But it does, I can't tell if it's blue or black ink, but I think it's blue. Also, we know a little bit more about the killer, Joshua John. His Facebook page got deleted pretty quick, but there's a few social media people who took some screenshots. Laura Loomer was the one who said the profile picture had a communist themed cartoon on it. Glorious exposition, comrade. There's an armed figure with like that fuzzy hat that Russians wear. I wish I knew what it was called. What's it called? Probably something Train would know. But the stereotypical fuzzy Russian hat had the hammer and a sickle, and then the phrase "glorious exposition, comrade." Sounds like pretty solid left. I mean, not even solid left, far left. We learned a lot about his vehicle, and the Toyota Corolla was parked near the ICE facility. Check this out. This is weird. This might be the first time you're hearing about this. The car had a printed map of radioactive fallout across the United States taped to the rear quarter panel. This is according to the Fox 4 here in Dallas. What the heck is that? So above the map, it said radioactive fallout from nuclear detonations have passed over these areas more than 2 times since 1951. A reporter from the Dallas Express did a little digging, found the map comes from a book called Under the Cloud, The Decades of Nuclear Testing by the author Richard Miller. And that was talking about, of all the nuclear testing from 1951 to I think 1965, there would be a big boom and it'd make the big mushroom cloud. And it was very radioactive. It was very charged particles that were floating up in the atmosphere. And then the wind and the jet stream and just natural movement of the weather spread these radioactive particles across the continent and really into other countries even. And so there's some people who are really concerned about the fallout from that and if the government would ever admit it, because that would make them the bad guys. And so that's kind of what that was about. I have no theory or clue for you why this man had a printed out map of radioactive fallout taped to the rear quarter panel. No clue. Don't know what that's about. We do have a little more detail on his criminal history. It's non-consequential in my review. He got arrested for weed in Collin County in 2016, pled guilty, 5 years deferred adjudication, probation, which means he didn't go to jail. He was just on probation for 5 years. The outlet Current Revolt, a friend of the show, Tony Ortiz, went and ran his voting record, found a guy with the same address, same name, same birthday. According to Current Revolt, says he participated in the 2020 Democratic primary. Also, this guy's brother, Noah, told NBC News, this is a report from them. Now, I only saw this in text. I don't have the audio, if there is audio of it, but let me read it to you. Noah said that he didn't have strong feelings about ICE as far as I knew. He wasn't interested in politics on either side as far as I knew. He added that while their parents owned a rifle, Joshua was not a marksman and would not be able to make shots like that. All right, so that's the new info. Take from that what you will. I mean, there's a couple of responses to the brother here. He didn't have strong feelings. He wasn't interested in politics on either side. His profile picture is communist propaganda, hammer and sickle. The word comrade is a big player in his social media feed. He's not political. Does his politics not match yours, and so you're trying to run some deflection for Team Blue? Is that what you're doing? After your brother just murdered a guy? Trying to murder ICE agents? You're going to soft pedal this. You know what? You get a pass. You lost your brother. No criticism for me. Just not very believable. And for the people who are showing me screenshots of, Lefty things mom said, not interested. Not interested in that. That's a dangerous road to go down because just recently the Charlie Kirk killer, his parents were out loud conservatives. Does that have any effect on the motivation of their son? No. So if it doesn't count there, it doesn't count here. Kids can have wildly different political opinions from their parents. In fact, it's quite normal. But that's the new news. Does anyone have any answer on the radioactive fallout map? It was reported. I dug into it. I read some reviews on the book on Amazon. Still don't know. Is that something that's shared by like some online conspiracy theory community I don't know about? Not sure. All right. So now that we've got the new details fed to you, coming up next on The James Show, a former FBI counterterrorism investigator is going to break down his analysis of the ICE shooting, and you'll hear what he thinks next on The James Show. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Well, we're learning quite a bit more about the shooting that happened in our backyard yesterday at the Dallas ICE facility. Here to break down and analyze even further, Eric O'Neill, a former FBI counterterrorism and counterintelligence operative. Welcome back to the James Show, sir. And so we've learned a lot. Kash Patel actually tweeted a whole slew of evidence this morning, kind of leaning toward a motive, his search records and whatnot. So, what all have we learned since yesterday about the shooting that happened in Dallas? What does AP mean in that context? Okay. I was thinking if I was on Jeopardy, I would have guessed what is anti personnel. Oh my goodness, no, I wasn't there. No. Associated Press, armor piercing. Thanks. Well, well, next question here. Eric O'Neill, I still haven't got a count of how many rounds were fired. Do we know that one yet? Well, we have the situation in Charlie Kirk's shooting where the guy was kind of a lone wolf, like he acted alone on that day, but he was definitely part of some other groups. And that so there's sort of that hybrid. He is part of a group, but the group wasn't participating in his terrible act. And then you look at the other example from recent history in Alvarado, they were part of a group, and more than one person actually participated in the attack. Do we have any connection with either participation or, I don't know, group membership for this guy? We're talking with Eric O'Neill, a former FBI counterterrorism operative, about the Dallas shooting at the ICE facility yesterday. So the ballistic search, what is he looking up in a ballistic search? God, that's awful. Now, he wasn't wearing body armor himself, though, right? So that takes the ambiguity out of the handwritten note that says, "Is there a sniper with AP rounds on that roof?" Because you could possibly interpret it as he's worried about a sniper taking him out, but he's not wearing armor, so he sees himself as the sniper in that sentence. And like I said, that takes sort of the gray area out of that handwritten note. Be that sniper, yeah. Okay, Eric O'Neill, thank you very much for clearing a lot of that up. This is Eric O'Neill, former FBI counterterrorism operative. Appreciate your wisdom on the James Show, sir. Yeah, because I really didn't know what AP meant. Just starting there, all kinds of questions. Good stuff. Look, next up on the James Show, I'm going to make the case that as long as this fascist rhetoric continues, the shootings will continue. And I'm coming with receipts from Jimmy Kimmel, Hillary Clinton, and Jane Fonda to prove it next. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, football fans. Yes, football's starting back up tonight. We've got NFL tonight, and it's a good game. Dolphins versus Bills. We'll do high school tomorrow, but I don't see high school on my Prize Picks app. They do have the pros. They do have college for Saturday. So if you want to get some Arch Manning love in your lineup, or if you want to I don't know, maybe do the TCU quarterback again. He scored for me last week. And then we go back to NFL for Sunday, and then Monday's game is against the Lions and the Ravens. You can do like 4 lineups a weekend. That's why it's called daily fantasy sports. In an old traditional fantasy sports, you make a lineup and you get to do 1 lineup per weekend, win or lose. And if the guy, even if you had a good weekend, if the guy you're going against did better, you can still lose. This it's just you and your favorite players, and you can do it every single day. And if football's not your bag, they're still doing the baseball as they're running into the playoffs. They're still doing tennis. They've got the Ryder Cup going. NHL is in the professional hockey's in preseason. So here's your other tip of the pros: the max discount for this weekend goes to my buddy Patrick Mahomes, 0.5 passing yards. You put him in his lineup, you pick more. As long as Patrick Mahomes can struggle and get 1 yard in passing, you already win that one. And in your lineup of 2 to 6 players, you just need one more to get a win. And you can get up to 2,000 times your money. Download the Prize Picks app, use promo code WBAP. You get $50 in lineups with your first $5 play. Download Prize Picks, promo code WBAP, $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Don't expect the steady stream of violence to stop anytime soon. For those of you who believe that this is driven largely by the rhetoric, I agree with you. And you know the rhetoric is not getting any better. And look, let me go ahead and put on tape here why I think it's the rhetoric. It's not the deportations. More deportations happened under Obama. They just weren't told, the angry leftists that are squeezing off rounds at their political opponents, they just weren't told that it was the Gestapo doing it, that it was literally Hitler, that it was fascism doing it. In fact, there wasn't much reported on at all. So it's not just the deportations. These aren't independent observers saying, well, they're violating rights and due process. No. How many left-wing snipers were upset about due process when the COVID lockdowns happened? When your kids were kicked out of school, you were kicked out of your job, you were kicked out of your church. You couldn't go to visit your dying grandmother in the hospital. She had to die cold and alone in an empty room. Then you couldn't go to her funeral, but protesters could go outside. You remember all that? No due process concern. It's not what's happening. It's not enforcing our immigration laws. It is the rhetoric. These people get a steady diet of this, and you know, most people in America can hear this rhetoric and think, okay, that's hyperbole. They're just trying to prove a point or make win a political argument here. But for the people who are willing to grab a gun and squeeze off rounds when they get excited, this is affecting them. And so you and I have both noticed that the rhetoric needs to stop. The fascist rhetoric needs to stop. The Nazism needs to stop. Literally, Hitler needs to stop. And that begins with ending the both sides canard. You have to end the both sides, because if everyone's a Nazi, then no one's a Nazi. Oh, if both sides have the problem, then the left doesn't need to address their speech. But that was part of the Jimmy Kimmel response that I thought made the whole thing worthless. You know, he didn't actually come out and apologize, say, hey, I'm sorry to someone or anything. He did say, I would never make light of a person who was murdered. But also, this is the part that kind of lends me to believe that this is not going to stop yet. They have not learned their lesson.
I have many friends and family members on the other side who I love and remain close to, even though we don't agree on politics at all. I don't think the murderer who shot Charlie Kirk represents anyone. This was a sick person who believed violence was a solution, and it isn't. Ever. And also, selfishly...
Yeah, so the problem with that is, if you say the shooter didn't represent anyone, you're absolving your side of guilt. You're absolving all the people who excited this guy with hyperbolic, untrue rhetoric about fascists and Nazis and Gestapo and Hitler. You just gave them a pass to not change their behavior. You just gave yourself a pass to not change your behavior. So that's very disappointing. That's very discouraging. This is what you come back with after you've been suspended for a week? All right, so he's not learning the lesson. What about Hillary Clinton? Yeah, I don't know why she's doing interviews. Is she going to run for office again? God, I hope not. But she's not backing off of this whole racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe, straight white Christian men are bad. No, she's leaning into it too. This is an interview yesterday.
The idea that you could turn the clock back and try to recreate a world that never was, dominated by, let's say it, white men of a certain persuasion, a certain religion, a certain point of view, a certain ideology, it's just doing such damage to what we should be aiming for. And we were on the path toward that. I mean, imperfectly, lots of, bumps along the way, but I agree with you. We were on the right trajectory.
Here's another one. Jane Fonda was on The View today, and they were talking about how women's rights are being taken away. Well, what do you want to do about it besides protesting and griping? How about murder? What'd you say? I said murder.
We have experienced many decades now of having agency over our body, of being able to determine when and how many children to have. We know what that feels like. We know what that's done for our lives. We're not going back. I don't care what the laws are.
Besides marching and protesting, what else do you suggest? Well, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not a miraculous. What did you say?
Murder.
She's kidding. Wait a second. She's just
Now,
kidding.
don't say that. That's
you don't know. They'll pick up on that and
Yeah,
just run
that's
with
the
it.
worst.
She's just kidding.
Well, let me talk to you about. Let's move on and talk about Jane's activism.
Look at the absolute demons covering for her. How about murder? Oh, she's such a card, that Jane Fonda. She's just kidding, y'all. She's just kidding. Did she say she was kidding? Is she laughing? Does she have a smile on her face? Was that sarcasm? Because she had a serious look on her face. Okay, let's change the subject. Hang on, you're covering for that? You know, you interrupt guests that disagree with you or say things that, you know, like, I don't know, men can't have babies or something that you disagree with. Oh, you'll jump all over them. They're not joking. You walk out on Bill O'Reilly on The View because he said Muslims committed 9/11. But this, murder your political opponents, she's so funny. I don't think that's funny. I know some ICE agents don't think that's funny. I know Charlie Kirk's family doesn't think that's funny. I know all of the people on the wrong ends of all these attacks. They probably don't think it's that funny. The law enforcement officers in McAllen, they got shot up at the ICE facility. They don't think it's funny. The elderly Jewish people that got blowtorched by a pro-Palestinian protester in Boulder, Colorado, they don't think it's funny. The people who got run over on Bourbon Street by a deranged leftist, they don't think it's funny. All the Tesla dealerships that got firebombed, all the Teslas that got keyed, they don't think this is funny anymore. We don't think it's funny when Luigi Mangione murders the United Health CEO. We don't think it's funny when 3 ICE facilities get shot up in Texas in 1 year. We don't think it's funny when you go shoot at Christian children praying in mass either. Can y'all please just tap the brakes on the rhetoric? You're getting us killed. No? Next, you'll hear from Pocahontas. She's using just over-the-top scare tactics on what? Another government shutdown. Another budget resolution impasse. You know how we have to do this every 6 months or so? They're not stopping. Not even for a couple of weeks to let the heat blow over. You'll hear it next on The James Show. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. I do not expect the violence to slow down. I expect it to continue. I'm not happy to say that. And I'm looking at the rhetoric. I'm looking at the rhetoric from the media. I'm looking at rhetoric from celebrities. I'm looking at rhetoric from politicians. I'm looking at rhetoric from just regular old Joes who are going viral online. And I gave you three great examples in the last segment. If you're just joining us, I played Jimmy Kimmel kind of doing the both sides. This shooter, Charlie Kirk, doesn't really represent anyone. No, he represents your side. And if you don't recognize that, then there's no introspection that's going to happen. You're not going to change your ways. You're not going to recognize, oh, maybe I need to tone down the rhetoric. You're going to continue the rhetoric. We're going to get the same results. You saw Jane Fonda, or heard Jane Fonda on The View today say that for her political opponents, what can you do besides protests or legislation? She said murder. What'd you say? Murder. She's just kidding, y'all. She wasn't kidding. You saw Hillary saying, oh, it's them damn straight white Christian males of a certain ideology. And I got it. Just keep putting the target on our backs. Well, here is another, talk about pattern recognition here. We have to do this every 6 months. We pretend like we're about to run out of money and we've got to pass a spending bill. The government's going to be shut down. So we're walking into one of those. And there's always been hyperbole around it. But it's the kind of hyperbole that makes crazy people shoot at you. Because it's the lies that Elizabeth Warren is telling here, Pocahontas, it's not just like a difference of opinion or a clever way it's worded. It's deliberately exaggerated. It's deliberately misleading in order to get her preferred political result. Not because it's true, not because she wants to inform the people on what's in the bill. She just wants to say whatever scary thing that she can get away with without getting sued into oblivion and still have the voters support her. So here she is, Pocahontas. And this is about the government shutdown. The tweet says, Republicans would rather shut down the government than make your health care more affordable. Like, that's the bill. Like, do you want to make the health care more affordable or you want to shut down the government? And people are voting. It just assumes so much in these statements. But it's not an eye-rolling situation anymore. These statements are dangerous.
Donald Trump and the Republicans are threatening to shut down government because they rather take health care away from millions of people than keep the government open. Look, at the end of the month, the federal government runs out of money, and that means Congress needs to pass a new budget. But here's the thing. This budget fight is about saving health care for millions of people. Health insurance premiums are skyrocketing. Hospitals and clinics are closing. Cancer treatment for children is being canceled. Why? All because Republicans in Congress gutted health care like the Affordable Care Act and Medicaid. But rather than address this health care crisis, the Republicans just want to shut government down. It's amazing the lengths these Republicans will go to make sure that a visit to the doctor is even more expensive. Republicans need to get serious, restore health care, and avoid a government shutdown.
That's so over the top. And for the entirety of her career, I hear things like that and I roll my eyes and I think, boy, that is just a low blow. I mean, that is just lying to people and scaring the crap out of them with lies for political gain. But, that's what politicians do. I hope I can win the debate in the court of public opinion. But you shot the guy that was doing the debate in the court of public opinion. This has to stop. This is the kind of rhetoric that has to stop. We've got to stop Republicans. They're going to rip away health care from millions of children. Shut up. You're getting us killed. And no, that's not the truth. Just because something isn't socialized anymore doesn't mean I'm taking it away. Do you support a socialized puppy program for all the children of America where there's a taxpayer-funded puppy that's given out? No. Oh, then why do you want to rip away puppies from all the little children of America? See how dumb that sounds? I got a plan here. Pay for your own health care. If you can't and you need help from other people, you're going to have to rely on private voluntary donations. Oh, we're going to take away cancer care from little kids. No, the private sector, also known as Christians, have many hospitals where children can go and get free cancer treatment. Free. So no, we can take care of each other without the government butting in. In fact, we do a much better job taking care of ourselves and paying our own bills without the government butting in. And the more the government has butted in to the medical industry, the more expensive it's gotten. The more likely you are to be bankrupted by medical bills. The more likely you are to not be able to afford your insurance. Oh, insurance premiums are skyrocketing. Yeah, you did that. Yeah, you've been in office for like 20 years now. Oh, Obamacare didn't fix it? Oh, it's still terrible? You mean Medicare and Medicaid didn't fix it? You mean the CHIP program didn't fix it? How many damn programs do we need before you say that it's fixed? Or how many more programs can we throw on and you say, oh, the system's terrible? Yes, this is the system you wanted. This is not the system I wanted. Don't blame me. This isn't my preferred marketplace for healthcare. No, as long as this rhetoric continues, the bullets are going to keep flying. And as long as no one holds them accountable, you have to act accordingly. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Next, you'll hear some just absolute over-the-top hyperbole that's getting people killed from Gavin Newsom. And this matters because he might be their presidential frontrunner in a couple years. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Welcome back to the big show. A couple other pieces of audio here because I just want to leave you with the full context on why I think shootings like what we saw yesterday in Dallas are going to continue. The attack on the Dallas ICE facility is the third one in Texas this year, and you can put it along with a string of violence that's been politically motivated, including Charlie Kirk, including the shootings at the Christian schools, Joel Osteen's church. I mean, wherever it's coming from, most of it's coming from the left. Not all of it. I'm not going to say like my side never does anything wrong and your side does everything bad. But it's not an even balance here. I mean, it's not even close. And so my theory, and I think a lot of people agree, maybe you agree, is one of the first steps to rectifying this is to stop with the rhetoric. You know, I know a lot of Democrat friends. None of them are going to pick up a gun and shoot anybody. And they're all exposed to this rhetoric. However, the psychos out there that are capable of such terrible acts of violence are clearly being influenced by this. It's irresponsible. It's getting people killed. It needs to stop. Here's the problem. It's not stopping. I've now played you Jimmy Kimmel doing the both sides. I played you Jane Fonda literally advocating for murder on The View. Just gets laughed off. Like, not only did she say it, it didn't get shouted down or spoken out against or condemned. They didn't ask her to retract her statement. They said, oh, that Jane Fonda, she's just kidding. I played Hillary Clinton, straight white men of a certain background and ideology. And I played you Elizabeth Warren. If we don't get this budget passed, it's going to take health care away from children. So, no, they're not stopping. And then here's Gavin Newsom, one of the front runners for the next presidential cycle on the Democrat side, saying he's not even sure if we're going to have an election in 2020.
I fear that we will not have an election in 2028. I really mean that in the core of my soul, unless we wake up to the code red, what's happening in this country, and we wake up soberly to how serious this moment is.
No, it's not that serious. This is what I'm talking about. And you can't have the whole crowd just cheering. No, this is terrible. Stop using the fear tactics. Crazy people are believing you and acting accordingly. And it's almost understandable. If you really believe this, because you don't believe this, I don't believe this. But imagine if you really did believe that we were being run by Hitler. And half of your neighbors out there are so stupid that they can't tell that he's Hitler. But you can tell. You and your other little smarty smart friends can tell. Your favorite celebrities and musicians and news anchors, college professors. Oh, yeah, y'all are just smarter than the rest of these flyover rubes, these uneducated, window-licking, mouth-breathing Christians. Stop. Some people actually believe that. And if you actually believe that, wouldn't it be rational, dare I say heroic, for you to actually pick up a gun and do something about it? Remember, in their mind, if you're literally Hitler, get in a time machine and go back to right before World War II started. How about the invasion of Poland? We take you back. We drop you off in Berlin, January of 1939. You have a gun. There's Hitler. If you shoot him, are you doing a bad thing? If you shoot him, are you a murderer? Or are you one of the greatest heroes in the historical canon? Especially if you sacrifice yourself in the commission of this glorious act of literally killing Hitler. That's what's going through their head. That's what's going through some people's heads. That's the best explanation on why the guy wanted to shoot Charlie Kirk, why the guy wanted to shoot ICE officers, why the guy in Alvarado wanted to kill, or the whole crew in Alvarado wanted to kill police officers. There's a reason why they block streets. There's a reason why they key Teslas and bomb their dealerships. They think they're literally fighting Hitler until these people stop. Do not expect it to get any better. Because you want to see the one of the greatest examples of how Trump derangement syndrome, this just overuse of fear tactics, has people so emotional, so worked up, so irrational. Look no further than the response to the Tylenol press conference that was held 2 days ago. Was that 2 or 3 days ago? I think it was 2 days ago. 3 days ago. It was this week, earlier this week, when RFK Jr., Donald Trump, came out on a podium and they said, hey, the science is starting to show that Tylenol can be one of the many contributing factors to autism if it's used excessively when you're pregnant or if it's used excessively when you're an infant and you have all these other toxins coming in, whether it be from vaccines or, I don't know, maybe nuclear fallout. The response to this, I mean, this is even lower than I expected. This is really going to floor you. So if you're terminally online like I am, you've probably already seen this, but if you haven't, there's a real disturbing trend now in the last 2 days of women who are visibly pregnant, like they're showing. They look like they're 30 weeks pregnant at least. And despite Donald Trump, they get a bottle of Tylenol. They start a little video on their phone. They get on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. And some of them speak and explain themselves. Some of them are just playing music. And they pour a whole pile of Tylenol into their hand, into the palm of their hand. And then they just bang the whole thing. They just slam a handful of Tylenol while they're pregnant, all despite Trump. So you're going to hear an example, and then you're going to hear one of the reactions to the people who are doing this reaction. Because if you haven't seen this, this might be something that isn't worth watching. You know, like we don't like to watch snuff films. You probably shouldn't watch a Charlie Kirk video over and over. You probably shouldn't go look at the video that came out of the guy that after he offed himself at the ICE facility in Dallas. This is all horrific stuff. I mean, you saw half his face blown off. That's terrible. This might be just as bad. What kind of child sacrificing narcissist succubus do you have to be to risk your fetal development in order to spite a guy who doesn't even know you, won't even see the video, doesn't care anyway? It affects nothing. You're just strangely virtue signaling for internet clout. All right, you can stay with the James Show through the break here. Just be careful. You might wreck your car when you hear the audio of the viral trend of pregnant women taking handfuls of Tylenol next on the James Show. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, on your new home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. There's some amusing guys, and all three of them should be back, and so you'll finally get to hear the full cast as I know them on Monday. I think the medical leave time is expiring at the end of this week, and you'll actually get all of Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins starting Monday, but they're 11 to 2 weekdays on WBAP. Have you seen the trend of ladies eating Tylenol, pregnant ladies eating handfuls of Tylenol? Just to what? Just to own the conservatives? To spite Trump? Because you don't believe anything Orange Man says and you're going to do the opposite of whatever he says? It doesn't even sound real. If I hadn't seen this with my own eyes, I wonder if you think that I'm exaggerating. Listen, imagine a woman who is pregnant like semicircle, basketball coming out of her tank top. Super duper pregnant. And she takes a bottle of Tylenol, she rattles it. She pours out just a little pile in her hand. I don't know how many it is. Looks like it could be 10, 12. And just shoves the whole thing in her mouth. And swallows it. Just to spite Donald Trump and RFK? This is wild. I know you can't see it, but here's one of the ones.
28 weeks pregnant. You know what I'm gonna take? Some Tylenol, acetaminophen. It's gonna work like a charm, and my baby won't have autism.
Dude, what a risk you're taking there. And I don't know if taking Tylenol is going to make her baby autistic. But I do know there's a whole lot of articles out there and studies out there that have supposedly discovered a link. Now, do I believe all science? No, absolutely not. Those studies are wrong all the time. But you know what? If there's a little bit of tinge of doubt and it's my fetus's development on the line here, maybe I would just go for Motrin. I mean, did she even have a headache? Did she even have any sort of pain? She was just taking it. Whew. And let's remember, he didn't say it alone will cause it. He said, don't take Tylenol if you're pregnant because it could be one of the contributing factors. And in fact, I'll replay it here. This is the...
Don't take Tylenol if you're pregnant. And don't give Tylenol to your child when he's born or she's born. Don't give it. Just don't give it. And we're going to have, I think, really, if you do all the things that I say, break it up, just break it up.
Yeah, and he starts talking about breaking up the MMR vaccine and whatnot. But that's the part, the Tylenol that they're responding to. And as far as the MMR vaccine goes, I have personal friends who say, my kid was doing fine, already talking. And then at 15 months old, 16 months old, they got the MMR vaccine. They actually stopped talking, and we had to start all over with their verbal development. Does that mean no one should ever take a vaccine? No. But you should at least err on the side of caution. You should at least say, well, maybe, and if I have a very easy alternative to Tylenol, maybe in the meantime I can take, I don't know, an Aleve, an ibuprofen, an aspirin, anything but Tylenol. No, they're going in for the Tylenol. So I found another viral video where the reaction to these ladies taking Tylenol was absolutely fantastic. I feel this way.
I was not ready for this rodeo. No, ma'am, no, sir. I did not sign up for this one. Look, let's negate the fact that there are studies and research that's out there that backs up what RFK Jr. said and what President Trump said about Tylenol and autism. That to the side. Forget about that for a second. The part that blows my absolute mind right now is seeing these pregnant women online. They've had these thought processes to make these videos and put them out to the public, not taking the prescribed amount. Oh, no, nay, but videoing themselves, chugging bottles of Tylenol like it's sweet tea at a church picnic. So what you're really saying is, screw my child's health. Screw the life that is growing inside of me just so I can show the mean orange man that I don't care what he says. That blows my mind.
Same. My mind is absolutely blown seeing these ladies do this. What is the deal? Why would you sacrifice the health of your child for internet clout, for virtue signaling, for political high fives from your fellow travelers? That's a religion. That's not even science. That's not even politics. That's an ideology that overlaps with religion right there. That's crazy. And then here's another one. Some blue-haired sphere, saying, well, can't Tylenol sue Trump for lying about him?
So, can whoever owns Tylenol, what is it, Procter & Gamble? I don't know. Whoever owns Tylenol, can they not hold the Trump administration liable for these spurious, untruthful claims about their product causing autism? Like, aren't we not allowed to make claims like that with zero proof, and that will invariably lead to Tylenol making less money, like people not buying their product anymore? Now, I'm gonna keep buying it. In fact, I'm gonna stock up, because I'll be damned if it comes down to it and I can't get my hands on some acetaminophen.
Yeah, it was kind of funny when he couldn't pronounce it right. That's like a legit poke. But for the rest of that, blue-haired sphere, you're half right. You know what? I kind of agree with that. Yes. Tylenol could sue the crap out of Donald Trump and RFK Jr. if they just went up there and lied about the effects of Tylenol, or the studies that have been shown and taken over Tylenol, or the studies that haven't shown anything about Tylenol. Yes, actually, they could be sued into the ground if he used his public podium to knowingly damage or recklessly damage a public company like that, or a private company, I guess I should say. Yeah, actually, they could. So what you have there is evidence that he's not lying. Sphere? 800-288-9227. Can you believe these pregnant ladies are taking handfuls of Tylenol just to spite Orange Man bad? More on this disturbing trend, and if you want to jump in on the conversation, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. More on the Tylenol scandal, or non-scandal, coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. It's your chance to win part of 5K a day on WBAP. Your chance at $1,000 right now. Pay off some bills. Just text PLENTY to 95819. That's PLENTY, PLENTY, to 95819, and you could score $1,000. Sponsored locally by Mullen & Mullen Injury Law Firm. Good luck. Well, hey there. Welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. And if you're just joining us, we are marveling at this social media trend. It's on TikTok, Facebook, X, whatever else, Insta, where visibly pregnant women, it's just despite Trump, are just bombing handfuls of Tylenol on video and then smiling about it and laughing about it. And this is just bizarre because, look, I don't have the final answer on this. I've done 0 medical studies in my entire life. But I can go Google and I can go see that Tylenol has tweeted for themselves, hey, we have not been tested for pregnant people. Hey, we do not encourage use for pregnant ladies. Use only under the direct supervision of your physician. There have been studies going back decades, saying, well, this study shows a link between this malformation in the fetal development process, or this other study shows some sort of tertiary connection to autism or vaccine injury or toxins or liver failure, or there's all kinds of gray area in there. So without knowing if it's right or if it's wrong, wouldn't you just err on the side of caution and not risk the health of your baby? No. What's more important to these moms is the virtue signal and the clout that they can get on social media from defying Orange Man bad, even if it does have a negative consequence to their children. So what we're seeing here is sort of a child sacrifice or a willingness, whether or not they actually get autism or get damaged by this. That's a roll of the dice. But what are we, Baal worshipers now? Do I need to make a Moloch reference? And that's not necessarily biblical. The ancient religions where you would sacrifice your kid because, the greater the value of the sacrifice, the more noble the person making the sacrifice. And so that was part of it. And that does pop up in the Bible quite a bit in the Old Testament, whether it's Jezebel or some other Baal worshipers or Canaanite worshipers or Moloch or whoever it is. But it's also in Roman history when they were fighting the Punic Wars against the Carthaginians. That's one of the things they talked about, that these people are crazy. They'll sacrifice their kids just for clout, just for political standing in their own Senate. This is really weird. These people are just unhinged in their religion. Agreed. Let's go to Tracy and Keller. You're on WBAP. Hey, Tracy.
Hey, I just wanted to throw a question out there. I mean, I know the Trump derangement syndrome is completely real, but just having been pregnant myself twice, I was always told that I can't take like ibuprofen or Motrin or anything like that, that I could only take Tylenol. Because ibuprofen or Motrin, I guess being like an anti-inflammatory, it can close off blood vessels to the baby's heart and increase their blood pressure, which those two things together aren't going to be real good, right? And affect their lungs and their kidneys, decrease the level of amniotic fluid. And so I guess I'm just wondering, because it's usually around week 19 or 20, they say this, right? So I had the flu twice while I was pregnant, and I had to take Tylenol to keep my fever down, right? Because then that's even more dangerous for me and the baby. But if this is true, and it is going out there that they shouldn't, and being a medical professional, I've been trying to look it up. I can't find an alternative for, when you might need something.
Well, 2 days ago, we had Dr. Matt Chalmers on the show, and he did recommend Motrin, which is just ibuprofen. Everybody else, so like an Advil or whatever. He said that he would recommend low doses of that as an alternative. But I don't even remember what Miss Parker did, because we had 4 kids and we didn't have anything. We didn't have anything too complicated. She had like gestational diabetes for I think two of the 4. But I don't even remember, because we didn't have any pain issues and she wasn't taking a whole lot of anything during her pregnancy. She was taking a lot of like prenatal vitamins and whatnot. But I don't even remember.
I think that's a big part of it too. Like you shouldn't really have hopefully too many complications if you're healthy and you eat healthy and you do what you're supposed to. And right, I didn't have like a lot of pain issues either, and I had twins one time and then had a singleton. But
wow.
when you do have to, take something, and I had two different doctors, they were just really adamant against all you can have is Tylenol. You can only have it as prescribed. And so, now I'm kind of like, well, man, but maybe what
Tracy,
that guy
real
said
quick,
a couple days ago, maybe that's true. Yeah.
How are your kids? Any autism in your kids?
No. We've
Okay.
had no developmental problems whatsoever. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your call. Appreciate it, Tracy.
Thanks.
Donna, Dallas, you're on WBAP.
Oh, my God. And they wonder why we think they're wackadoos. I mean, are they kidding with the Tylenol, for God's sake, and do it on purpose when they're pregnant?
Is this baby sacrifice? Are we seeing child sacrifice?
I don't know. I think that we need, think we need to be blessed, or they need to have something done in their head. I'm honestly can't believe that they dislike Trump enough to do that. But I'm going to tell you, I have lost 3 friends in the last 7 or 8 months because Trump was president. I'm not kidding you. And these were really good friends, and I'm still having shock over that.
It's sad, isn't it? It's sad. Like people you've been friends with for 20 years will just all of a sudden a switch flips at them. It's like, I'm sorry, are you broken? Because I'm the same person I was for the last 20 years.
Exactly.
And I promise I'm not a racist, sexist, bigot, a homophobe, Nazi, literally Hitler. You're going to have to come up with some other reason to rationalize in your head why the worldview that you hold isn't matching with reality. But I'm not the problem.
No.
We're better off without them. Just be open-minded in case they come back. If they ever change their mind, welcome them back with open arms.
I've removed them from the contact list, so I'm good.
Okay. Let me squeeze in one more here. Juanita, Mineral Wells, you're on WBAP.
Well, Mr. Parker, I was going to be a smart ass, but I've changed my mind.
I want to hear the smart ass comment.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Well, I'm like 12. I'm going into my 12th month of pregnancy, and I don't see anything wrong with tossing back a handful of Tylenol and washing it down with my Jack Daniels and then sucking on my filter-free Marlboro when I get done. And if my baby comes out with 4 eyes, that means I get money from the government.
That was perfect, except you should substitute out filterless Marlboros for vapes. That's what all the cool kids are doing these days.
Oh, but
no.
I'm old school.
No, yeah, we can tell. We can tell. That's what I'm saying. That was just some helpful recommendation for your future sarcasm. That was fantastic, Juanita. I'm glad you called in. All right, we got full phone lines, so don't even bother calling. Are you just blown away? Did anybody wreck their car after hearing the audio of pregnant ladies taking Tylenol to spite Trump? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Breaking down this disturbing viral trend next on The James Show. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. If you're just joining us, all of our foreheads are super red right now because we've just been slapping them. The latest viral trend on social media is super pregnant ladies taking giant handfuls of Tylenol just to own Trump, I guess. And it doesn't sound real, does it? Let me play it again for the people just joining us.
28 weeks pregnant. You know what I'm gonna take? Some Tylenol, acetaminophen. It's gonna work like a charm, and my baby won't have autism.
Well, it's a hell of a risk to take just over some political beef you have with a guy who's never even going to see the video, doesn't even know you exist. It's not going to affect any kind of change. It's not going to change the policy. It's not going to change RFK stance. It's not going to change the FDA, CDC, any of this. It's not going to change Tylenol, their parent company, Kenvue. It's not going to change any of the other generic alternatives. It's just all for what? Clout? You're risking your baby's health for clout? Now, he may, just come out and be normal, and God, I hope they all are. But what an insane risk to take. Oh my goodness, that's not rational, is what it is. That is not logical. That's not rational. That is an emotional reaction. And God help me if in 9 months from now or 10 months from now or whenever it is from now, we have a bunch of babies that are born autistic or, I don't know, with stegosaurus plates growing out of their back or whatever these girls are doing to their fetuses right now. Just God help them. All right, to the phones we go. Elizabeth and Electra, you're on WBAP.
Hey, just calling. I can't believe it. Man, when I was younger, if I am pregnant, I listened to people, and one of the things that I heard was that Tylenol was the safest option between Tylenol and Motrin when I was pregnant. So I have two special needs twins who the biggest thing that they have to overcome and deal with from a day-to-day basis is autism and heart problems.
I'm sure you have some very strong opinions. The floor is yours. I'm listening.
I'm sorry, do what?
You have the most valid opinion of anyone who could possibly call today. You have twins with autism?
Yes, I do.
What do you think contributed to it?
They're diagnosed with a syndrome that includes autism.
Sure, they're on the spectrum of some sort. So are you an anti-vaxxer now? Are you just listening to this news with bated breath about Tylenol? I'm sure you've done tons of research into this field just by necessity.
Actually,
please, tell me more.
I don't have tons of research. I have listened to debate, and I'm undecided. I like to listen to people, and I try to give people time to come to the correct conclusion and research. So I do not have a conclusion right now. I'm just listening to people, give us the research, the proven evidence and research.
All right.
And I don't consider myself anti-vaxxer, but I will tell you one thing: when COVID came out, and I think me and my girls were lucky in this, is that I was homeschooling at the time, so I didn't have to worry about it a whole lot as far as school is concerned. But we had to deal with people being very, very nasty to us out in public, whether we were at retailer stores or the doctor's office. We actually even had my children's cardiologist even force the mask on us when we were sick and couldn't breathe hardly.
All right.
We didn't have the mask on. So we had to deal with these issues.
That's terrible, Elizabeth.
And the thing is with them, and I was very aware of it because it was something that I had to be aware of even beforehand, is that my girls, they easily get pneumonia because they have a compromised immune system. So what happens when you're sick and you put a mask on? You create the environment for pneumonia. So I was very vociferous about not wearing a mask. Yeah. And so we had to deal with it.
Man, I am just so disappointed at how political medicine has become in the modern age. Sean in Royce City, you're on WBAP.
Hey, James. All right, so real quick here. I think I heard somewhere, and I'm pretty sure it was the Morning Crew, that they were saying that 2017, the creators of Tylenol actually came out and said in a paper, a white paper, that, yeah, it can have it can lead to autism and retardation. That being said, in 9, 10 months, whatever, can CPS go and take these children for child neglect?
No, I don't think that's the solution. But I understand why you feel that way. I mean, part of me does feel that way, and I've thought about that, but I came to the conclusion of no. Look, in 2013, Reuters reports too much Tylenol in pregnancy could affect development. And CNN.
And one other thing, real quick.
Okay.
This is a joke. All right, I'm going to preface it's a joke.
Okay.
I heard Trump saying putting plastic bags over your head was bad for your baby, too.
Oh, yeah. Say that really loud, Trump. Say that really, really loud. Say
Then I figure Darwin can take over.
Right. Hey, look, Donald Trump should. Then I love this joke. Because there's 18 punchlines you could do on that one, Sean. You could be like, Donald Trump comes out. He's like, oxygen. It's my favorite gas. It's my favorite element on the periodic table. I love it. I breathe it. Everyone loves it. Believe me. Yeah. And then they'll just all asphyxiate like Dave Carradine. Just tonight in their alone time. All right. How can we make fun out of anything? That's pretty talented there. Coming up next on the James Show, Kyle Moran, the political commentator who specializes in such things, is going to talk about these medical issues and the problem with the intersection of politics and medicine. And this Tylenol story is such a great learning tool. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, hey there. Welcome back, fellow Texans. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Sorry if I sound a little under the weather today. I was just taking a bunch of handfuls of Tylenol in the hallway before the show. What could possibly go wrong? I know. Now, we're talking about the dangerous intersection between politics and medicine. You know, medicine is such an important industry. It's literally life or death. And that's not like a pun or a dad joke. I mean, it literally is life or death. And so if you've noticed that the government tends to just turn everything they touch into a dumpster fire, wouldn't you want to keep them away from the medical industry as much as possible? But that's not what we've done for our entire lives. It's just gotten more and more and more. We did Medicare and Medicaid and the CHIP, Child Health Insurance Program, and we have so much of the medical industry that goes through government. It's now more than 50% of the dollars spent on healthcare are spent through government. And the more socialized medicine gets, the worse the outcomes and the price. My next guest is going to break this down a little bit for me. Kyle Moran with Young Voices. Welcome to the James Show here. And, you know, the Tylenol is just the latest in the controversial topics that shouldn't be political, but somehow are. We've had the long-going debate about vaccines and the vaccine. We're just coming out of all the weird medical stuff that happened with COVID. So, Kyle, I think this Tylenol situation fits right into context with the larger debate we've been having for years. Right. So we're in this weird gray area, which I think we would be more comfortable if it wasn't political. If you had some doctors who were saying Tylenol is dangerous and some other doctors who were saying, nah, as long as you don't go overboard, it's fine. You know, people wouldn't feel as emotional about this topic. We wouldn't have people taking handfuls of pregnant ladies taking handfuls of it and just bombing it on TikTok, if not to spite their political opponents. And that's one of the things that's so dangerous about intersecting the two is this other pre-existing emotional baggage that you bring into the argument really skews people's interpretation. He's a Kennedy. Yeah. Well, I think politics is just going to ruin any chance that we had at an honest debate on this because some people are just so calcified, and some people think they're fighting literally Hitler. So, I mean, if you think the guy's Hitler, would you take his advice on Tylenol? I don't think so, Kyle. All right, Colin Moran from Young Voices. Where do the fine people find your work online? Thank you very much, Colin Moran. We'll continue the discussion of the terrible intersection of politics and medicine coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. If you're just joining the show and you're driving down the road, put your hands at 10 and 2, and I need you to focus for a second so you don't wreck the car when you hear the audio. The latest viral video trend that's going around social media and TikTok or whatever is gigantically pregnant ladies taking handfuls of Tylenol just to spite Orange Man Bad.
28 weeks pregnant. You know what I'm gonna take? Some Tylenol, acetaminophen. It's gonna work like a charm, and my baby won't have autism.
Oh my God, I hope not. I hope your baby doesn't have autism, but that's such a weird risk to take. I mean, do you even have a headache? What could possibly be wrong with you that you need 13 Tylenol right now? You're just willing to for internet clout, to sacrifice the well-being of your child just to show that you're more of a true believer than the people around you, I guess? Like, I don't even know what the goal is here. Get rid of a headache? That's wild. The intersection of politics and medicine is a dangerous road that we're going down. Gary in Bedford, you're on WBAP. Gary, you still with me?
I've got a Gary Bob over in Newark. I'm not sure if I'm the right one or not.
Well, it's definitely you, Gary in Newark.
That's me. Hey, I just want to make two comments. One of them about the lady that called if they could sue Tylenol for the damage.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure after listening to her comment that her mother took a whole lot of Tylenol.
Dude, that is so going to be in my regular repertoire of jokes from here on out. Like, I don't know, maybe they had too much Tylenol when they were a kid. But,
but now in Tarrant County, they hold these mothers accountable for these crackhead babies when they're born with crack addictions and cocaine addictions. They hold the mothers accountable. I hope they can keep all of these videos that they're making on file in case that their babies do have that they can put them in jail and charge them for, child endangerment.
Oh, man, dude, look, I really hope none of those kids get autism, man. I really hope none of those kids are harmed whatsoever. But man,
if they are, I hope that they're held accountable.
Look, think about these ladies right now. They're pretty contemptible in their actions and their disregard for the well-being of their baby based on politics. We all agree with that, but they're young. What happens if they're like 40, 45, 50 and they make that natural evolution and they convert to being right-wingers, and then for like the rest of their life they know they were wrong and they did something stupid and they have to see their baby every day grow up and with some sort of malady that they thrust upon it. I mean, think about the guilt these ladies are going to feel if they're wrong.
Yes, I work with a lady that has twins. One is autistic and one is not. And I ask her every day about this. I've been listening to it for a week. And she said she did take Tylenol, but not in excess, But they also say that stress could cause it a whole lot. And she's definitely stressed all the time. So,
all right.
I'm sure there's a whole lot of stuff involved in it. But I hope none of these children actually come out with anything. I would wish nothing bad on the children, but in the fact that they do, I hope the mothers are held accountable, and that's all I had to say.
I know, and that's the scary part about this. My heart bleeds for not just the babies, the moms too. Like, if you mess that kid up, you don't understand the type of pain you're gonna have to live with for the rest of your life. And for those of you who haven't heard the other soundbite Gary was referencing, there's a blue-haired spheroid on TikTok saying, well, why didn't Tylenol just sue Trump if he's lying? Exactly, lady.
So, can whoever owns Tylenol, what is it, Procter & Gamble? I don't know. Whoever owns Tylenol, can they not hold the Trump administration liable for these spurious, untruthful claims about their product causing autism? Like, aren't we not allowed to make claims like that with zero proof, and that will invariably lead to Tylenol making less money, like people not buying their product anymore? Now, I'm going to keep buying it. In fact, I'm going to stock up, because I'll be damned if it comes down to it and I can't get my hands on some acetaminophen.
Yeah, actually, they can sue him if he's lying. And the fact that they're not suing him and he's comfortable saying this and there's no legal blowback kind of lets you know Tylenol co-signs what he's saying. This is a crazy risk people are taking. Heather in Denton, you're on WBAP. If you want to be after Heather, 800-288-9227. What do you got to say, Heather?
It's just a scary time for our country when people are politicizing over medical advice. That's the bottom line. It's not right. It's not left. The fact that we're not even listening to health professionals based on who's in the presidency is out of this world. It's insane.
Well, the problem I see, and this is the libertarian in me speaking, is the Democrats are way off their rocker. They want socialized medicine, and that's just terrible. The Republicans want some sort of market socialism hybrid where they like the safety nets. They like Medicare, Medicaid, CHIP, and all the other government interventions into it. They like the FDA. They like the CDC. They like all of the regulations and control, just not as much as the Democrats. My preference, and this isn't so much me as a libertarian, but an Austrian economist, is we shouldn't have a Health and Human Services. We shouldn't have a CDC. We shouldn't have an FDA. There should be no government intervention into these very important industries. You know, how you feed yourself, how you're going to get yourself medical care. These are issues of life and death. And it is because it is so important, I think we've got to get the experiment that we've tried with government intervention into the medical world has been a complete abysmal failure. The longer and deeper they go, the harder it is to get care, the more expensive it is, the lower quality it is, the more likely it's going to bankrupt you. You know, I have Miss Parker's grandparents are immigrants here, and they came to America, cranked out 8 children. Never had health insurance. And I say, well, how would you pay for it? Well, if someone broke their leg, we'd go to the doctor, they'd give us a bill. And, for 1968, the $200 bill was huge. So maybe the doctor let them break them up into payments or whatever, but they just paid cash for the whole thing.
Yeah. And right. I agree. That's where we need to get back to basics. And I agree with Kennedy coming in and firing everybody, because there's so many corrupt people that are getting kickbacks from pharmaceuticals, from doctors to clinics. Like, as far as the COVID, even people dying and getting paid for that.
Well, it's such a cognitive dissonance. Like they say the opposite things. Like the medical system is so terrible that we understand why Luigi Mangione would assassinate a healthcare CEO in the streets of Manhattan. But on the other hand, it would be terrible if you got rid of all the people who have made the system that is so bad that they excuse the assassination of a healthcare CEO on the streets of Manhattan. I don't know how they reconcile that in their head, Heather. Good points all around. 800-288-9227. We're talking about the latest Tylenol trend. Pregnant ladies taking Tylenol to spite Trump. And I've got some more lessons on how we can get out of this mess coming up on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, and I'm shook. I am absolutely shook to see one of the viral trends going around social media right now is women who are visibly pregnant taking giant handfuls of Tylenol just to spite Donald Trump. And look, if you think everything he does and says is wrong, that's cool. But it also requires you to just not know the world around you and for you to only be into this conversation for like 5 minutes here, because there is plenty of evidence. I don't know if it's true. I don't know my final answer on this, if this is, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. But you can't say that it's unsubstantiated. There's no proof. No one has ever thought of anything like this before. Let's get out of America. This is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. 5 years ago, talking about a study between Tylenol and pregnancy.
And medical health experts has released an important statement on pregnancy and pain medication. It's part of a study in the British scientific journal Nature. And here's what it does. It cautions pregnant women about using acetaminophen. And that is the active ingredient in Tylenol and many other medications.
All right, we don't have to listen to the whole damn thing, but it's not like this is just coming out of nowhere and Trump is making stuff up and who's an idiot, orange man bad. I'm going to do opposite of whatever he says because I hate him. You're going to risk your child's health for that. That's crazy. I don't have a better word for it. That is not rational. That's not logical. That is emotional. That is spiteful. That's hateful. But it is insane. Stephanie in Flower Mound, you're on WBAP.
Hi. I just wanted to kind of give my opinion. I have almost 5-year-old twins, and boy, girl. And I had a really bad pelvic disorder when I was pregnant where I couldn't even barely walk. And the only thing I took was Tylenol, not in excess, but probably more than just for a regular headache. And my son was diagnosed with autism at 2. And 3 years ago, I read a journal article when I was looking through and he was diagnosed. And yeah, this isn't a new thing. There has been studies saying that it could contribute. And I definitely have always thought it contributed to my son's autism.
So how does it make you feel to see pregnant ladies taking handfuls of Tylenol and just pounding them on TikTok?
If you have ever had to be and take care of an autistic child, you would never, ever do it. I mean, I love my boy. He's amazing and brilliant, but autism is a struggle as a parent and nothing would ever. I mean, I feel guilty that I took it because I didn't know, but it's horrible. It's horrible. You don't know what it's like to take care of an autistic child. It's a lifetime.
Well, what do you think is the cause? Do you think it could have been the Tylenol, or was it the vaccines, or was it a combination of other toxins and all rolled up into one? What's your theory, Stephanie?
I don't have my children vaccinated, so I don't believe it was the vaccines. I don't have them because I'm very cautious of vaccines. It's not that I don't believe in them, but I was very cautious of the research I did. So to me, the only thing I truly took when I was pregnant was the Tylenol. So I don't think it's maybe 100%, but do I think it can be a contributing factor? Absolutely, if you have to take it in excess for a certain reason.
Well,
so maybe, I don't know. It's hard.
It sounds tough.
I definitely would not down it to see what's going to happen.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad you got that out there. Thanks for calling in, Stephanie.
All right. Thank you.
Listen to Stephanie, people. Ken in Arlington, you're on WBAP.
Hey, is there a test to determine if the baby has autism before it's born?
I don't think so.
Because, I mean, if this is the case, the women that are pregnant doing this, and if they say, okay, well, I'm going to test to see if my baby has autism now, are they just going to go ahead and abort it because of their stupid mistake?
Well, now that's an interesting thought. If you are indifferent to abortion, then this isn't really such a tragedy. If you take a handful of Tylenol and hurt your baby, it's like, oh, well, just abort him anyway. Right. We'll start over. And is it really less of a tragedy for them? Or do they know in the back of their head that, accidentally killing your fetal development's wrong?
Well, no, because they took the Tylenol because they were told not to do it because of Orange Man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I like the way you think, Ken. Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Jack in Plano, you're on WBAP.
Hey, how's it going, James? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for calling.
Hey, I had, I was listening to your call earlier. You were talking about the ladies who, just they're down in all the Tylenol. As unfortunate as that is, I looked at Tylenol's own website, or not website, but their Twitter account. and you can just search pregnancy or pregnant women in their handle. They've been telling people not to do that when they're pregnant since 2017. So, like, the president wasn't saying anything new other than if you listen to the entire speech that he gave, he said, hey, we're not going to have any more mercury in the vaccines, no more aluminum in the vaccines, and a list of other things that I think parents and people everywhere are like, why is that in there? That Big Pharma would kind of sidestep those questions in the past. So anyway, I just wanted to know see if you were aware of that.
Yeah, and the most effective ones that I've seen is if you're on Twitter, X, or some social media where the people are putting headlines side by side from the exact same publication. So they'll take like a Reuters article from 2007 that questions the link between acetaminophen and autism, and then what they just published yesterday in order to make Donald Trump and RFK look bad. There's no credible evidence or whatever's in the headline. And those ones that are back and forth, whether it's in a scientific journal or whether it's on CNN or whether it's in Reuters or AP, or there's been so many people busted for this that
right.
God, ladies, before you do like the handful of Tylenol challenge, just do a couple Google searches, or you can even stay on Twitter and just type in Tylenol and do some of the posts that pop up. Look, it's just some of the basic research. What a weird, crazy risk you're taking just to spite a guy you've been trained to hate. See, this isn't just about shootings anymore. This idea that Trump's literally Hitler and you're fighting against fascists and Nazis, it's having medical consequences. All right, I got nothing but calls coming up in the next segment. We'll end the show just talking to you and getting your feedback on this weird challenge, viral challenge of pregnant ladies taking Tylenol to spite Donald Trump. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there. Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. And Trump derangement syndrome is real. It's making people crazy. It's making people shoot at ICE facilities. It's making people murder thought leaders and influencers for asking questions on college campuses. And now Trump derangement syndrome is causing pregnant ladies to take giant handfuls of Tylenol in order to spite Donald Trump. There's no other explanation for this. You know, they're not doing it because their doctor told them to, or because they have a severe headache, or that it's been proven to be safe, or they know it's wrong. It's just to spite Trump. And I got it. You don't like the guy, but isn't that kind of a huge risk? You're not concerned about that? No? What happens if something happens to your baby? No, you just don't care. It's more important that you hate Trump. You're not going to err on the side of caution here. What the heck is going on? Is this the same people during COVID that wanted to err on the side of caution so much they didn't let you go to your grandma's funeral? I don't understand this. I don't understand. This is dangerous. This is making people crazy. They're hurting other people. They're hurting themselves. They're assassinating Charlie Kirk. They're shooting at ICE officers. And now they're bombing their own babies with handfuls of Tylenol. What is going on? Ponderous stuff, man. This is wrong button. Teresa in Waco. You're on WBAP.
Hi, James. How are you?
I am well. What do you think, Teresa?
So I just had this epiphany. I thought, well, they're taking handfuls of Tylenol, and if it really does cause autism, we're never going to know because they've all had the jab plus probably 6 boosters.
Yeah, we don't know which variable to isolate on them because, they've lived such a questionable lifestyle. All right, well.
So that was my thought, was we'll never know because they've probably done all of the other.
Oh, hell, we'll never know because they'll hide it. They're not going to tell you the truth. They're not going to go back.
They'll never admit to anything anyway.
And that was one of the most compelling parts about the Rush Limbaugh show is, he would call them the drive-by media, and he would circle back in sort of almost like a Paul Harvey fashion and tell you the rest of the story. And I used to love that because I feel like doing that on the show all the time. Because look, 4 months ago, you were told that we were about to go to war with Iran and your sons and daughters are going to be drafted and it's going to be World War III. What's happened since then? An absolute ceasefire. But does it get the same amount of headlines? Absolutely not. You were told 6 months ago the stock market was crashing. You were told 9 months ago that we were headed for a recession. Here we are. You were told a little over a year ago Biden was sharp as a tack.
That's right.
Just review all this and we'll never get it. We'll never get it. But maybe the alternative media or someone like a Dallas Express will report on all these freaks that come out and, God, I hope this doesn't happen in 10 months or so. This is going to be so terrible if it does. Steve, Red Oak, you're on WBAP. Hey, Steve.
Hey, listening on my drive home, and we don't have to wait until a child is born and has problems to deal with this. I'm a grandfather of 3 foster kids that were removed from custody because parents, specifically mom, did things, took substances that were dangerous to the kid. I think this is child endangerment, pure and simple. And these people have gone on video and recorded what they did to endanger their child. I think charges ought to be filed. I think potentially custody ought to be removed. And I don't think you'd have to do it more than once or twice before we could stop this stupidity.
I see where you're coming at. I just don't really like taking children away from the parents, even in the most extreme of circumstances like this. I think the best punishment they can have is you have an autistic kid and you have to take care of it for the rest of their life. How about that? I don't know. I don't know if there is a good answer for this.
Don't remove the child, but there's a process that can go through where people get on probation, people are monitored, where you don't get to endanger your kid and walk away like you didn't do anything.
Okay, that wins me over. Thank you, Steve. You're very convincing. Appreciate that. Look, and someone sent me a link here. I don't know if this is true. I saw this floating around before the show. I was kind of iffy on playing it, but a couple people have sent it to me. This is one of the other viral videos going around. This is a lady in scrubs looking like she's in some sort of hospital waiting room and saying what you think.
4 o'clock in the morning from a husband whose wife is now dying of liver failure on a ventilator in an ICU because she was trying to prove that Tylenol doesn't cause autism because of what Trump said on the news. Mind you, that's a Harvard study. Now, whether or not you believe the Harvard study or not is not the issue here. The issue is that she's somewhere between 23 to 25 weeks and she overdosed on Tylenol. And she's going to die.
I hope that's not true. I hope that's a fake video. There's just been too much that's just kicked you in the heart this week, isn't there? Really, in the last 2 weeks, we've been through a lot. All right, that's all I can do on today's show. I'm out of time. I wish I had more time. We've got a lot of great calls lined up, but we will continue tomorrow. In the meantime, in the next 21 hours, if you need some James Show action, find the podcast, WBAP.com, WBAP app. Find us on social media. Find WBAP and the James Show, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. We're all over everywhere. Stick around. Mark Levin's coming up next. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.